As a straight guy, what is the biggest turn-off you've ever had on a first date with a girl? As a recently single male in my 40s, many dates end as first dates because a good portion of the women in my age group are either bitter divorced women. Keep in mind I'm also divorced, but don't use it to form my personality, or women who feel their biological clock is ticking and they're only out to find their husband. There's nothing wrong with that, but their conversation usually centers around a checklist and I check out when it's if you're not looking for your wife then you're just looking for a hookup. No, I'm just looking for a conversation that hopefully leads to a connection. Lol, so early AOL days I'd been talking to this girl for a little bit and we decided to meet. She brought a friend, which was no big deal, but they were obnoxious as shit. Like chewed with their mouths open, had all these stupid jokes they kept making and laughing, spraying food everywhere. On top of that she was way fatter than her pic. I straight up just said I had to go to the bathroom and just walked the fuck out. I had another chick just punch me in the face right after telling me she was really into being abusive. Bartender kicked her out and said she does it sometimes. Was the second date after a pretty good first date. On date 2, in a 15-minute period she went from single married and cheating unhappily married and cheating actually happily married and looking for three-way partner looking for a guy to do cuck content with her husband. The weird part is, she was pretty cool and hot otherwise. If she was honest about her intentions, I guarantee a lot of dude would sign up for that experience. Not only am I not into some of the things they were trying to do, just the deception just made me feel like I could never trust this person. At dinner we're talking about crazy college stories cause I went to a very small university and she went to a large state university. She told me that junior year she was cheated on by this guy she thought she would marry. To get over him her friends dared her to kiss 100 guys out at bars in 100 days. She completed it easily. She got bored. So she decided to fuck 100 guys in 100 days. She was very proud that she was passed around the football team and completed her quest in under 100 days. University of Arizona football team, way to go. Check please, waiter. Bleh, vomiting face. 2 women come to mind. The first, she showed up looking significantly bigger than her photos. Fortunately, she called the date short by getting an emergency phone call. The second, she forgot our first date and only replied after I was on my way home. We rescheduled, but on the day she let me know, she'd be 5-10 minutes late. No big deal, right? Well, she ended up being about 30 minutes late. Then she was on her phone the whole time and barely asked me any questions. As we were leaving, she said she'd like to do it again and told me to text her. I didn't text her. Her only hobbies were makeup and scrolling through Instagram. But like, not anything special with makeup. Just the look she was currently wearing. And she only put it on herself, no one else. Girl, that's called getting ready in the morning. At least if she experimented or did SFX makeup we could talk more, she could share photos. But I'd rather not scroll through 1,000 pictures of her with the exact same makeup on. Screw picturing a future with this girl, I couldn't even make it through the first date trying to carry all those one-sided conversations. I met a girl at a club, she was way out of my league. I laid down the best game I've ever had and got her to come to my place. We sexed and when I woke up in the morning I just stared at her for 30 minutes. She was that beautiful, I couldn't believe my luck. Her pants were on the floor next to the bed and when I got up I moved them and out fell a baggie of white powder. I thought nothing of it at the time, thinking it was cocaine. When I drove her back to her car later she told me it was heroin and she was sort of an addict. We never talked again. We were meeting for dinner, and she showed up 20 minutes late. After a bit I noticed she wasn't looking at the menu, and told me she wasn't hungry, just wanted drinks while we meet for dinner. Afterwards, she asked if I knew any spots where we could go smoke a joint. Head to a spot, start smoking talking, until she passes out in the front seat of my car after only a couple of minutes. I finished the joint and let her sleep for about 30 minutes before taking her back to her car. Girl admitted to dropping out of college after her junior year to take a gap year as a writer. She easily tacked on 60 pounds from when her pictures were taken. And her cadence while talking was awful. 2 seconds pauses and changes in inflection every 2 words was just giving me anxiety. Out with it. No, she didn't talk like that all the time. She ordered, asked about the menu, did the introductions all totally normal. But her responding to 5 questions took up the entire 90-minute dinner. We had quite a good conversation via Tinder and when we met, I realized we were completely different from each other. I like training and hiking and some quiet from time to time. She would abhor everything there, What she liked to do fun for instead was clubbing all night, drinking a lot, and smoking that nargile crap. Not one taste in common, nothing aside from the work field we're in. It was the first time I promptly said, you know, I ain't feeling it, let's call this over. So far lack or different level of reciprocation. You know the take versus giving energy. Rude to people. Airheads that's only keep talking about themselves. Worship me or else. Manipulative tactic just to have a free food. Sex for validation whilst they wrote they wanted a relationship. Monkey branching behavior still doesn't get over fucking their ex while engaging me. Materialistic intention instead of genuine attraction. The ex just never stopped. I hate the dating culture. I have zero issues with single moms, but one date I felt like I was dating someone that behaved like I was their son. Constantly correcting me, cutting me off, criticizing me. I distinctly remember the conversation dying after I tried to drag it along and I just said something general nice day to try and resuscitate it. You've already said that, she said curtly. I just sighed, awkward silence for a few minutes, paid for the drinks and went our separate ways. One of my dates, who was the same age as me roughly, late 20s, kept talking about her age, and bringing up being a millennial as if she was nearly 80. We were at a popular outdoor pub, that was next to a riverfront park. When a kid walked by, she made a comment that she wanted to rip the kid's face off and use it as her own to stay younger looking. Sorry, but FCK being that concerned about aging when you're still a young person. I love LTR. I told her on the first date. One day later she told me she'd try watching it as she'd never seen it before. 30 minutes and she was texting me whining over how boring it was and that nothing was happening. Sure, tastes differ. But if I tell you I love someone very much, and you proceed to stomp it into the ground without actually trying it, that's a big no for me, dog. My wife on our third date, which was a double date, she 2 times burped and blew it in my face. Even the other people on the date thought it was weird, gross, and asked why she would do that. She was tipsy and thought it was cute, funny. I was not amused and made that very evident. Obviously, I got over it cause she's a catch, but she's just socially inept sometimes, ha ha ha. I see a lot of complaints about texting. Recently I started to just leave my phone in the car to start and live in the moment. Whenever my date is on the phone I tell them, hey, just start live in the moment, and I try and lead by example, or I'll say something sarcastic but still in a humorous tone so they would get the hint to put it away but we can still laugh about it. Not a first date, but I was hooking up with a girl and I decided to take her to a gig in another city. When she got in my car, I pointed at the toy hamster I have hanging from my mirror and said his name is Kevin, to which she replies, why would I care what his name is? That was the last day I ever saw that woman. When I realized she was a gold digger. We were planning our date. I suggested some nice places where we could take a drink and eat some food. She turned my offers down and suggested some really fancy, expensive places instead. Like, of course I will pay for the first date, but at the most expensive place in town? Nah, that was the instant turn off. The most common is they don't look like their pictures. I'm no 10, but I try to make sure any photo I use is within 1 or 2 years and within like 10 pounds of where I am now. I also had one lady that didn't disclose she had children, or that she still lived with her ex, and slept in the same room as him. That date ended within an hour tops. She showed up wearing a bright, bedazzled I Love Jesus shirt. I'm Jewish, she knew this. When I asked her to put on something over it, she looks confused for a minute about why I asked, then says, oh, wait, is it because your people killed Jesus? No sarcasm, she was genuinely asking. I wish I was making this up. Left immediately. She refused to talk to me. She gave me just monosyllabic yes/no answers even to open-ended questions like, what are you doing this weekend? Or what's your favorite place to vacation? And then afterwards she called up the mutual friend who set us up and told her I was an amazing guy and she had an awesome time. When her Instagram pictures doesn't look like her at all. Turns me off cause it goes to show me you're unhappy with yourself, you have zero confidence. I'm 25 years old now looking for a wife. I wouldn't want the insecurities of someone be transferred down to my daughter. That's just my way of thinking though. I watched the girl eat chips and dip and lick her fingers, vomiting face, grown-ass woman acted like a teenager. I was embarrassed for her. Also first date that got upset I ordered a ride home. But I wanted to fuck, I'm horny. My mouth dropped. My roommate was in the room at the time smiling and laughing. What a nightmare! While showing me the pictures on her phone of all the tattoos she saved from other people's Instagrams that she planned on getting herself already a turn off, she accidentally swiped to her nudes folder. Whoopsie. then proceeded to take a phone call and invited her couple friends to the bar to hang out. She had a mustache and chin hair, and it wasn't just peach fuzz. I understand some people have medical conditions where this happens, but it was really distracting. I took her on a second date and it was still there. I couldn't look past it, it just really turned me off. It's so easy to shave wax your face. Honestly, it's just the constant texting. It's like some can go 10 seconds without some sort of validation conversation, and the second they stop getting immediate attention their eyes zip back to their phone to get more. It's pathetic to me, but it's so common they see absolutely nothing weird about it. Girl got very drunk very quickly, decided the waitress was giving her dirty looks, and tried to fight her. She was a pretty little blonde, maybe 120 pounds. The waitress would have destroyed her. I tipped more than the bill, got my aggro date TF out of there, and never showed my face in there again. Took her to my favorite local restaurant. Amazing Greek food and ambience. Also not cheap. The minute she got her food she started picking at it and said, "Have you ever had Chili's?" And proceeded to talk for a half hour about how much she loved Chili's and ate nothing. Had an innie at that point. My kid likes to eat garbage. He's always going through the garbage can for snacks when he's hungry, so why don't you feed him? Because he has to wait for dinner, I don't give snacks. I immediately blocked her on every social media platform and stopped returning her calls. Never been on a date, but I have had several women make me immediately lose interest. The most stark example was I don't like strings. I'd rather just have a friend with benefits. No thank you. I want all the intimacy. Nothing against FWB arrangements so long as they don't involve me.